It's table talk. It's table
It's
talk.
table talk.
All righty. And
Okay, My name's Darren Calhoun. I'm a director of the Richmond, Virginia EEOC office, and I want to give a shout out to the my colleagues and friends, former and future EEOC workers. Our 50th anniversary was yesterday.
oh, really?
July
Congratulations.
2nd was the first day we opened our doors.
So we is free
We
now.
free now. Freedom this away.
Right.
You
Good morning.
see?
My name is Darnell McLaurin. I'm a public servant as well as a union delegate.
Oh, wow. And we have another co host on the phone this morning, and she is.
Good
Hello?
morning, Dr. Rose Moulton.
Oh, good. I'm
Hi,
glad you're
guys.
here.
Good morning. Good
Hey,
morning.
Rose. How are you?
I'm here to help out Brenda. I didn't want her being overtaken by all that
Ouch.
testosterone today.
Yeah,
Ouch.
well, Darnell almost has her work clothes. You know, I like that. No, anyway. Anyway. On this day, and we have a lot of great topics. I'm glad Rose is on because we're going to talk about one topic that we didn't get to the other time, and that was prisoners, inmates, and people who work at prisons falling in love. We're going to talk about that. I just wanted her insight because Rose, you worked at did you work at a prison or just
I worked at it was a juvenile detention facility, but I still can provide some input because that was even an issue there, believe it or not.
well, we'll be with you in just a moment because it's time for On This Day, which is July 3rd. Nathan G. Conyers, born in Detroit in 1970, the U.S. Army veteran and attorney will acquire Hecke Motors on West Grand Boulevard and become founder and president of Conyers Ford Incorporated, one of the city's first black-owned auto dealerships. During its life, Conyers Riverside Ford will reign as one of the oldest black dealerships in the United States. And I actually got a car from the one on Jefferson.
I remember Kanye's Ford.
But it's funny, you know what kind of car I got from the one on Jefferson?
A Cadillac.
A Mazda. And it was a
Well,
Ford
they
dealer.
were they were owned by Ford at one point.
Well, no, that was before the. But I
I know.
wanted a
We got
Mazda.
a union guy here. I'm trying to help.
I wanted a Mazda. Well, the Mazda, the engine was made in Flat Rock. Well,
Okay.
no, Japan, but the
Japan,
rest.
Japan flat rock.
Yeah. But anyway, that was just interesting. It was a good experience. It was nice and so forth.
I went up to the union place up, the UAW place up in Blackwater, Black Lake, Michigan, and I had a Mazda at the time, and they looked at my VIN number, and they weren't going to let my car in on the campus, but it was made actually in the United States. They could tell by the VIN number.
Really?
Yeah, and that was back when Ford owned Mazda. So I was because you have to get out, you have to leave your car, all your stuff, walk to the compound, get a. And they just put you through all kinds of stuff. You know how union people are.
Yes, I'm a union. I was a union person myself. You know, that's just in case stuff. But our first story is about that. I hate to call names, and I really don't want to give that much energy to it. But I do want to talk about Donald Trump. I think he's having a nervous breakdown, and I honestly think he's a very insecure man. Now you know that he talked about the Mexicans. He's holding to it. If he said that about the Mexicans, you imagine what he said.
Exactly. He doubled down on what he said for the Mexicans, and not about the Mexicans about they're all rapists and they're all thieves and coming over the border. And he's a national joke. And if anyone takes him seriously, anyone who decides and the first person to cast a vote for him, I mean a real vote, like a primary or something, should seek the services of Dr. Rose.
Yes.
I don't know if I can help them.
I know, right? I mean, the guys.
Right. Clearly, he's using his affluence, his power, his money, to you know. To make a run for the president. There's a lot of people that identify with that. He's a Republican. As a Republican, they feel that their rights are being taken away or alienated. They want to bring back, we talked about this before, they want to cut out the middle class. They want it to be the haves and the have-nots. And this is just another ploy for him to do that. I don't really think he really have an interest in being a president. He can't continue to run and operate his business if he was to be elected. So I think it's just a ploy. I think it's an attention.
Now that is,
Yeah, I
I
believe he's just
absolutely agree. It's an
seeking
attention.
attention. Yes.
Now look at the dynamics of the country right now. You have avowed racists killing people in African American churches. You have churches burning. You have senators and congressmen disrespecting the president only because he's an African American, and this is the same kind. This is part and parcel of the same thing, where he feels empowered, because you would think people in polite society wouldn't just make blanket statements like that in public on television. Now it's one thing to have it behind closed doors. Oh, you know this is that, but he was, and then he, like I said, he doubled down on it. So I think this is more of this society saying, you know, that society that still wants those Confederate flags that we're going to talk about later. We want our country back.
Rose, what do you think?
Yeah. You know, that I think his statements are just a perfect example of how disconnected he is from just the people, because he really felt wrong with those statements. And even if he felt that way, there's a certain amount of common sense that you should have to know this is something that should not come out your mouth.
Right.
Now you know, how disconnected was he when he surged to second in the poll of the 16 or 17 Republicans? His popularity surged to second. So he might be connected. He might be connected with some people, but disconnected from mainstream.
Right, and I don't think he's connected. It's the same thing you mentioned. It's we want our country back. From who? Who has it? You still have it. And so those are the people, right? You know, those are the people that are identifying with him. You know, there's no people in New Hampshire that, you know, there's working class that's agreeing with what he's saying.
I mean, I don't know, and you know, not being devil's advocate here, but how many people last election cycle voted against their own self-interest? And this is a part of that.
Right.
You know, I'm out in public in polite society around my, you know, some of my African American and Mexican and Puerto Rican friends. I'll say, hey, that's wrong. But when I get behind that curtain and pull the lever,
but
somebody's giving these people 50,
right,
60,
but they vote against their
vote.
They vote against their own interests simply because they're confused and they don't know. You know, there's some pretty basic politics, you know, political things that we have to really understand. Like, people who don't make over $300,000 per se, stop believing you Republican. You don't make enough money to be one.
Because you Negroes are Democrat,
right?
Well, so, and I don't want you Negroes to come into my what it used to be,
exactly.
NIMBY, not in
Mississippi,
my backyard.
Mississippi, the poorest state in the union. Vote Republican.
I don't want Obamacare, but I want Medicare.
Right, but it's not because it's the economics; it's because of the ideology.
Because of the ideology.
Exactly.
I may be the poorest and the lowest on the totem pole, but I can always look down and see that rich black, a rich African American, a rich Mexican is still beneath me.
Right, and so the statements that Trump made are far-reaching. I won't venture to say that most of the employees that work in his hotels are.
That's a demographic.
Exactly, and so what a slap in the face to those people, you know, that work for him.
You know, and they could actually bring it full circle. They can bring it that now they feel harassed in the workplace because the ultimate boss has made these statements.
Right.
And they're severe and pervasive.
Rhodes, don't you think he's labeled people?
Trump?
Yes.
Has he labeled people?
Labeled Mexicans or anybody. I mean,
I honestly think this man loves a platform, honestly, and he's doing whatever he can to just keep his name out there. He didn't expect the consequences of what has occurred, but of course he's labeled people. If he made that general blanket statement about a group of individuals and honestly thought that it was going to be well received by others, that goes back to, you know, my feeling that he's disconnected from just this. The United States is a pluralistic society. You know, it's a society of minorities making up different ethnic groups and racial groups. And that was just very poor it's even common sense for him to make a statement such as that and not think that there was going to be such huge ramifications as there were.
Well, Dr. Rose, don't you remember a couple of weeks ago before this happened? I don't know if you see my statuses every day, but I put one on. I said, Trump is allowed to get away with saying anything he wants. It's ridiculous. This was prior to the pushback against him. I think, honestly, and I'm no psychologist, that's your bag, but I think he's mentally ill. Seriously.
I was just about to say the same thing.
No. Listen
You know, didn't we talk about narcissism?
Narcissistic,
before?
that's exactly where I was
Right.
going. Exactly. Exactly.
Wherein people, he'll always say, he's the one who got rid of so-and-so. He's the one who made the decision.
Right. But, you know, it's the boy that cried wolf. How many times have he said he was running for president?
Well, he's running
At
time.
least-
It's just that over the last 3 cycles, I should say. But it's good that the United States rejects him in
Right.
enough time.
Right.
You know, but
I
he gets
think he
that
just likes
message.
to stir. He likes to stir
But this is the first
controversy.
time he's announced.
What you
Say that again.
I know he's always kind of, and I'm going to use the word threatened, to run for president. But
Right.
this was the first official announcement, correct?
No. This was no.
Well,
He's run twice before
Wait,
in
but
the
no,
Republican
he has
primary.
never gone this far.
Okay,
No, he
okay.
has never gone this far. No,
And
he
that's
has,
I don't think so.
he has never gone this far. You can look it up. He has
Yeah,
never.
this is the first time he officially. He would always, and someone brought up a good point. Typically, those other times where he's come and said he's going to run, but never did a formal announcement.
He threatened.
when he's had a book to come out, or he wanted to get some publicity because that's great free publicity. for him.
Exactly.
But this
He's
is
the
first
modern day
time
Ross
he's gone.
Perot.
Well, he's Ross Perot actually ran.
I know, but what
Put
I'm
up
saying
his
is
money.
he really had
You know,
no
and it's-
But
chance
don't
of
you
winning.
Don't you all think that
Right.
now, since he's in these polls, he's ranked in these polls as high as he is, don't you think people are starting to suck his socks and make him believe, yeah, man, you can do it?
I'm
because
sorry.
you are like the anti.
Hold on, I'm
Everything.
sorry. Hold on. Suck his socks.
That's kiss his butt. Suck
Okay.
his socks,
Okay.
kiss his butt.
You had to be there.
I had to get the reference.
But seriously, don't you think he's the type of person who may take this seriously? Wow, they really like me here. I'm really, and he has, and I venture to say, if enough Republicans, they're starting to slowly turn against him, he'll go independent, which will really mess them up.
Ross Perot.
Which will be fine.
It's fine.
Which would
with
be
me.
fine for the Democratic
Fine
Party.
with me.
Right.
And I just think that he has. I think it's the narcissism. I think he has a belief in his own, or what they say, what the elders used to say. He hoists himself on his own petard. And aside from that, I think he's dangerous. Not violently dangerous. I think he's societally dangerous because because that type of rhetoric and that type of language gives rise to the violence of somebody who's less stable. And then they will listen to that and then act on that and say, just like this kid wanted to start a race war with African Americans, now they want to, will that give somebody impetus to go further and say, yeah, I believe in that. And
Well, Michelle just told me that he's a Tea Party candidate anyway. The Tea Party loves him.
Right. He's reckless and he lacks compassion. And eventually, when it comes down to debates and the issues that affect this country, he cannot withstand that because he simply doesn't know. He's a rich man and he believes that his ideology on how he lives and what he believes is what America should be following right now.
Absolutely.
and that's why I say he's so dangerous.
That's narcissism. It's
Yes.
his world.
Explain the narcissism.
This is someone who just has no empathy or regard for others. It's all about him. And he believes everyone has views the world the way, or should view the world the way he does. And if not, they need to be pretty much, they're insignificant, basically.
Right.
They're insignificant.
And
they
that's
don't have the ability to even censor their own thoughts or words, because as you mentioned, I'm sure he has lots of workers of Mexican descent.
That's what
he
they
was
said.
he was up there with Univision. He, did not have the forethought to say these statements could have repercussions for me, because it's all about him. He sees the world just from his lenses, and that's it. No peripheral vision.
And that's why I think he's so dangerous, because of his wealth, and because of that description, I think he's even more dangerous than if we allow him to. If we sit back and say, "Oh, he's just kind of stupid. He just don't know." I think he knows exactly what he's doing. I think he knows full well, and I think he has the resources to put that out, and that's why I think he's so dangerous.
I think he's mentally ill. And lastly,
So was Howard Hughes.
I think he's very insecure. I think he's very insecure because he keeps on, I have $9 billion and so forth. I'm not worried about whatever. Right. But I just don't think, he's a great gift to the Democratic Party, they say. But what about Jeb Bush, whose wife is a Mexican?
Absolutely.
Right. Well, slowly, like you said, Brenda, slowly the Republicans are returning on him, or turning on him. A few of the candidates already said that his views are not the views of the Republican Party. Eventually, he will out himself as irrelevant, and people will see through it, and they will move on. He will fall to the wayside.
I'm excited about that, Darnell. I was thinking about that. I said, I can't wait to see. I do Schadenfreude as far as he's concerned. I will have joy on the misery of Trump.
Right.
And
that's what he does when he's cornered and he really doesn't have anything to say. Then that's when he started attacking people.
Right.
He didn't just come out the blue and start talking about the Latin Americans.
Well, the way he disrespected my president, and then
again, why I think he's so dangerous.
Right. And see, the thing about it is, at that correspondence dinner where Obama talked about him so bad, and that was the day before they took out Osama bin Laden, and they said Donald Trump walked out of that dinner just so angry. But enough on Trump. They're increasing the gas tax here. What do you all think about that? This is to fix the road. So we voted down the other thing. Now
I'm gonna have to get a new vehicle. My Hummer just can't, sustain the 15% gas hike.
Right?
And and so I'm really frustrated. I'm glad you brought this up, Brent. I'm really frustrated at how this came about. As you know, the Democratic Party didn't sign on to this particular bill that was passed in the Senate to increase it from 19 cents to 34 cents, which is a
very high
increase. And if you look at the plan, the way it's drawn out, and the reason why the Democrats didn't vote for it was because they're going to take $700 million funding from other sources, which they did not explain where that money is coming from. And right. So where is that money coming from? We know it's going to come from programs, education background. So I'm very frustrated about this gas hike.
Especially in this state. This state, people are trying to get back up on their feet. And it's like the Republicans don't care. And I have to say, I have to call out that party. Because all of us, my car takes a lot of gas. But it's just not about that. I can probably put the gas in my tank. But all this money, we didn't vote. It seems like anything we vote against, they go on and pass anyway.
It's going to come back, right.
It's the same way with Public Act 436, and I keep bringing that up.
Bring it up. Tell the audience
the people voted against Public Act 436.
That's the emergency manager.
The emergency manager rule. He bought it back, and he added appropriations to it, so he couldn't put it on the ballot for a referendum vote again. And that's how they circumvented the process. So they came with a bill that was defeated this past election. which would have raised our taxes in order to pay for the roads.
Right.
And now, subsequently, we're going to pay for taxes, or we're going to increase the gas tax, which everybody utilizes. Also, a part of that gas tax is they want to attach a fee to hybrid car vehicle owners and electric vehicle owners. So, because they don't pay that much in gas, well, now we're going to give you a fee. You know, I don't agree with it.
And one of the things we always have to look at is, how did they get there?
How did
How did these Republicans get there? How did these people that are able to do that, how did they get into those seats?
I see your point. I see where you're going, Darren. I really do.
People vote against their own interests all of the time.
And by not voting, you vote against your own interests.
By not
But
voting.
look what this passing even showed us, that we can come out and vote something down. However, they find another way to come around it.
You're right. But if they weren't there,
right? And initially, what he said is a no vote is a yes vote for somebody.
Right.
You know, and that's what we have to understand. So, in order to make a difference, you have to get out and vote. But don't just go out and vote. Go out and vote. You know the issues.
Know the issues. Know the people. Know what they're going to do.
Exactly.
I mean, if you give this governor, like it has happened, give him the majority to do anything he wants, then that's what you get. This is what you're going to get. Now, one thing that I did not see, and I'm not. This hurts me because I come back here all the time. But what they have in Virginia are tolls everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And that seems to work. If you're getting on this particular expressway because you know it's fast, it's 70 cents.
Right, but too, we kicked that idea around as well. The problem with the toll roads is, especially like if you go through Illinois, right, tolls like every 20 feet.
Well, that's
right.
A lot of that going to different pockets. So.
Right, but a lot of that costs are from people that's in transit. Mm-hmm. In Michigan, well, not just work, but people going through Illinois. So, but nobody goes through Michigan to go anywhere. Well, so every dollar that would be paid to that system would come from residents.
Right. Well, one thing that Governor Wilder did, but this is back when I was living in D.C., he put toll booths up for a period of time. They studied how much it would cost. They just how many cars run 75 at 8 o'clock in the morning during the work week?
Right, lots.
If you put a toll there for a specified amount of time to get a specified amount of money, and then show that you're taking those toll roads out mm-hmm. to pay for these roads, then you're showing progress. You're showing short-term solutions. You're showing something that you don't have to worry that our kids don't have to be inflicted with, because now when they start to drive and and this gas tax is there, try and take that gas tax away. Something will be created based on that money, and then you'll never be able to get it away.
Of course, and there's a mechanism within the plan that would be based on the rate of inflation and economic growth. We all know it's some hoopla.
Yeah.
Once it's there, it'll continue to be there. So right. I definitely agree with that. But and I consider the toll roads as well. But I just look at it as, if you put toll roads in Michigan, the only people going to pay it is Michigan. But if you see toll roads in Ohio and Illinois, everybody that drives through that state is paying it. So some of the cost is associated with people that doesn't live there. This would be just another tax on us. Again,
but if it's a specified period of time, because what's the alternative? They're going to put a tax on us.
True. I'm really interested to see. The House is back in session on July 14th.
Right.
I would like to see what the House decides to do.
Yeah, I would too. Is that a call? Good morning.
Good morning, Steve.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Oh, just fine. Quickly.
Well, first of all, Mr. Calhoun has a point, but he doesn't take it further. It is the fact that we don't vote, but the big part of it is because of gerrymandering. That's why Republicans got in. They fixed the election, and with the Citizens United passed by the Supreme Court, I don't care how much you vote. They have taken the power of the ballot away by money. That's why I support Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. And the fact for fixing the roads, fixing the roads, we should be in an outrage. That's a 15% increase. And in 1997, they said if they raised the gas tax, that would be the end all. That would be the end all. We wouldn't have to raise it again. But now what they could do is take the interest from the catastrophic fund, which is at about $20 billion, and fix the road from the interest alone. But they choose not to do that. They specifically choose to balance the books on the backs of the people. We are in the most austere age in ever since the Depression, since 1929, and nobody's saying anything. You look at what they did as far as the bankruptcy in the city of Detroit. They're doing the same thing in Wayne County. You got Judge Rose over in Puerto Rico now. You understand what I'm saying? So we the people must be enraged. Look what Ms. Perryman, look what the government did to the teaching profession. It's a doggone shame how much when do we say enough is enough and quit tolerating? We've already paid for the roads by paying the $186 per vehicle in Michigan with a catastrophic fund. They're sitting there with $20 billion, won't open up the books. With the interest alone will pay for the roads and bridges.
Because the lobbyists, see, it's all about money. It is all about money. And I may protest, you may protest, these two, Rose, we may protest. But all in all, they end up, and we can't stop protesting, but they end up maneuvering around and gerrymandering. Very, very true, gerrymandering. But the thing is, we can still get out there and vote, because you see how that bill went down.
But
it did go down.
You know, with us, it's so many people suffering. But when you call for a rally, you get 13 people in the bullhorn to show up. But it's thousands of people suffering. You look at Wayne County alone. Look at the retirees that are going to suffer. Look at Northville. You got Plymouth, Canton, Redford are now going to have to pay for the funding of a pension funds that nobody paid or were misappropriated. You got a jail sitting in the heart of downtown that's costing us $1 million a month to carry, and no one goes to jail. But if you and I go into CVS and take a Snickers bar and walk out, we go to jail.
I know.
Valid point, Steve.
You got a real good point, Steve. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate you gave us a lot. Well, you put it out there, and you're right. People
we
talk
haven't had a mass. We haven't had a mass rally since MLK.
People talk a good game, Steve, but you ask them to. Half of the battle is showing up, and a lot of people just don't come out of their house and show up.
And that's primarily because they don't know what's going on. You know, there was a store.
I disagree because if they know your cable bill is going up, they know your cell phone bill is going up, but your wages are still comparable to 1972. It's what people choose to do. Like people study a lottery number, but they won't study meat tests.
Right. They'll
right.
say,
I agree.
They'll say, "What you dreamed last night?"
What's your dream number? Right. You know,
2015, we can't give these people a pass.
Right. One of the things I'm amazed at is
Thank you,
Thank you, Steve.
Good call.
Y'all stay strong.
Great call.
Right, thanks a lot. Across the street from where I work, and it isn't in this condition, right? Well, it isn't in this condition now. So let me say that. But 15 years ago, the people who own the store, they didn't have power. They had candles on. The heat wasn't working. They in there with coats, and they talk to your kids like anything. So we tried to, get a boycott this store, and we couldn't stop them. You couldn't stop them from going in there. No matter how they talk to your kids, They don't have no heat in the wintertime. They behind the counter with coats on, no lights on, the food is expired. You could not stop people from going in the store because it's convenient. They didn't have a vehicle, so I'm not going to walk 3 extra blocks to the next store. Mm-hmm. At some point in time, you got to stand up and say no more. That's why I don't go to the particular stores. You go to a bank in Detroit.
Right.
It's 2 tellers and the line is out the door, but you go out on 5 Mile and Middle Belt, it's 7 tellers and ain't nobody in the building.
Absolutely.
You go to the grocery store, the meat is outdated. You have to stop it somewhere. You have to say, I'm not going to tolerate it anymore. And so that's just along the same lines. That's on the small scale. This is on the larger scale.
It was absolutely correct, though. It was absolutely correct.
Yes.
Rose? It's Rose?
I'm here.
Oh, okay. Did you hear Steve?
Yeah, I heard part of it, but one of the things he mentioned is something, article I was reading last night. The people are getting fed up with just dirty politics And if you guys were reading recently, I guess earlier this week in the news, the Supreme Court issued a 5-4 decision in Arizona regarding gerrymandering practices. The individuals felt that they were kind of fed up with the fact that it was being put in these politicians' hands where they can redistrict. Basically, the practice of artificially keeping the dominant political power and party in power regardless of what the people wanted.
And Arizona
the Supreme Court ruled against that.
Well, that's great. Here they gerrymandered the area I'm in so much. They really gerrymandered that. I mean, I've stayed the same, but other people have come into that area. And it's just about having less representation for black people, basically.
And then you have the downtown starting to regentrify.
Oh.
So then that's going to look a whole lot different, and then you're going to have representatives looking a whole lot different from
Detroit,
in that downtown Detroit.
Let's
and
talk
Midtown.
about talking about downtown Detroit, the Renaissance Theater 4. Have any of you ever been to that theater, the Renaissance?
Yeah, I was there recently, as a matter of fact.
I don't remember.
Oh, I saw Glory there. I mean, that was a long time ago, but I was there just a few years ago. But I have other movie theaters around me, so I don't have to go down there. But they're closing them, and they're saying that they're closing them because they're kind of small theaters, and the big theaters are the thing now. Do you believe that?
Somewhat. They still do use real, when everybody's going digital. So, the better.
Renson use real?
Right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so, everybody else is going digital. So, I would say at the very least it needs an upgrade. So, maybe there are plans.
Absolutely.
Because you have Netflix, all these great things where you can sit at home and never have to.
TV.
You got exactly.
Right.
You have to.
I have all the latest.
I watch it on my iPad. You can do it on my phone.
Right.
You have to entice me out. Now I understand that it's the first run. I understand that it's something that we've had in the city, but if you remember the Mercury.
Of course.
Right.
And the Northwest,
definitely.
they
were neighborhood, but they were neighborhood theaters.
and those are entrepreneurial opportunities. Okay, so I can, if this one's closing, maybe I can create an opportunity.
I believe there will be another one though.
And I was downtown, and there's a playhouse that they came down. A lot of the people they came while we were sitting. This was last year at lunchtime. They would come and talk to us about these playhouses that they're opening. They have all these acts come in and just for a look-see, and it's like a pop-up play theater. That kind of thing is what. These
pop-ups.
opportunities for entrepreneurship. And if this closes, then that means it's an opportunity for somebody. I understand.
I agree. You have to entice people to come to the theater. And that theater was outdated when I went years ago. But I think with all the changes going on downtown, I agree with you guys. Someone's going to take advantage of this missing attraction.
It's not there. Let's do it.
And I think it's another way. I mean, I'm not being a conspiracy theorist, but I think it's another way to get the young people not to come down into the Renaissance Center.
I wouldn't say that because I've been down there and it's not really right. It's not really packed. Even I've been recently within the last 8 months, and it's not really like that.
At lunchtime, it's pretty bustling.
That they quoted Ken Coleman in the article. He said his family lives in Elwood Park Plaza, and he says, "Damn, I hate driving 8, 10, or 20 miles to see a movie. Can't have a comeback without a downtown first one movie theater."
Ken, call in. When was the last time you were at a movie?
I wish.
He's writing books every day, and he talking about he going to a movie. Seriously, Ken, you're running marathons and writing books.
Tiffany had an emergency this morning. I didn't want, I started to call Ken, but I couldn't.
Really, Ken?
I mean, really.
I mean, I know you want to take the baby. I'm sorry. I've known Ken since kindergarten. My bad.
I know.
Really, Ken?
Okay.
Seriously?
All right.
There's I'm surrounded by a lot of movie theaters too, and I'll tell you this: there's a United Artists one not far from me that it's becoming a ghost town because we have others who are more of like your multi-screen, your MJRs or what have you, that's drawing more of a crowd. When I'm going to the United Artists one, I'm looking around like, how's this place staying open?
Right. I went
Because the theaters aren't full.
I went out to Birmingham to the one that had, I don't want to, well, they're closed now, but it was the Palladium 12 or whatever. Because I liked that theater because we were going to go see the dinosaur movie. And we get out there and it's all construction. So I'm asking the lady in the parking lot, well, and this was they had dinner theater. You rent the place out for dinner. Right. And they were like, oh yeah, they closed it. They're going to make this a mixed use building. Whoa,
Yeah.
They are like that. I was at the took my kids to see to the movies the other day about a week and a half ago, and typically we go during the day because of the matinee fees. Well, this was the first time I've been into the movies in the evening in God knows how long, but it was just as empty in the evening.
You got to bring me
as
out.
It was in the morning.
You got to have something to bring me out.
And I was at AMC, so they're all going to the wayside.
What were you saying, Rose?
Movies and cigars might be good.
Yeah.
Oh,
Netflix and these other streaming movie services have changed the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, a report a few weeks ago, Brad Pitt is producing a new movie, and it's going to air on Netflix as well as movie theaters at the same time.
Oh, yeah, nobody be at the movie theater.
Nobody be at the movie theater. I can sit at home and watch it over and over versus going in that one time.
And there's Cloud TV. I'm serious about this. And the Terminator's on there. All of the latest movies are on Cloud TV.
Why you mention the Terminator?
How many? Because he has work clothes on.
I know, right?
I don't know. There's something about. Well, anyway, let's go to the next topic, which is the New York prison escape puts staff-inmate relationships in the spotlight. Now, this is something that they say happens at a lot of places. It's like the staff and the inmates. Some of them become friends.
Yeah, and more than friends, friends with benefits, But and when we were preparing for this, and I was hoping that Rose, I was going to say Rose call in because I want to hear this because is it, and you can help me out with this. Is it the ultimate bad boy thing, or is it the fact that as far as she's concerned, or is for male prison guards and cadre over female? Is it the power thing? What is it that will attract somebody who's free to somebody who's serving triple life for dismembering another human being?
They're human.
What is that, Rose?
It's all of those things you mentioned and so much more. It can be. I know the article you shared with us, Brenda, has a term, hybristophilia, which is a term for someone who gets aroused by people who are dangerous. And so we all call that just the bad boy syndrome, right?
Yeah.
We've all known about that phenomenon for years.
And been there, done that, and burned the
that can very well be a component. Yeah, a component of it. But also the situation you have, especially in prisons or places of incarceration or any institution where you have people of power, i.e. your correction officer, with inmates, you have that power element going on. But you also have to consider any situation where you have a relationship of people that are in such intimate contact with each other. That's always a risk. The number one infraction that's brought against psychologists is sexual inappropriateness with their patients. Really? Because you are in this one-on-one setting, yes, with individuals. You have this position of authority, and it just breeds grounds for. There's a lot of intimacy that goes on.
And are you saying opportunity too? Because
yeah,
it's not even just opportunity. You have I'm intimate with this person. This person is sharing the most intimate parts of their life. Now, I can get that because that's a manipulation of a situation by a professional. This woman was a seamstress.
But it's the human nature.
That can't be human nature.
It is. It's a man and a woman. That man was giving her something because her husband worked there as well.
I know. That's what I'm saying. That's not
obviously
human nature.
Her husband wasn't giving her something that she was getting from him.
That can't be human nature. That means we got it in us.
Wait, Rose, what did you just say?
I said the husband wasn't doing it for her.
Exactly.
Well, he should have went home and instead of pulling up a pole, he should have put up some bars. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. But that can't. I can't give it to human nature because that means we have it in us to go after some prison chicks.
No, not go after. Not go after. You're not going to go after.
She went after these guys.
No, she didn't go after them. They went after her. And so, but in any situation is opportunity. Because you may know someone, but you've never had the opportunity. You may not have been in the same space together.
Okay, see, alone. Right.
Now where you were actually able to open up your mind and, you know what I'm saying? So, right. So it was just human nature. He was doing something for her. Think about it. She put it on the line.
See, human nature says to me that we all have it innate in us.
Right.
And that's just the nature of humans to do that. And I don't think so. That prisoner was a master manipulator.
Of course, but at the end of the day, there was a Oklahoma.
That's one component.
Right, Oklahoma, a warden's wife ran off with a prisoner.
I know,
and they were discovered 12 years later living together in Florida. Okay,
that's not human nature.
We have a call on the line. A quick call. Good morning. Good morning.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good morning.
Oh, okay.
Hi, Theo.
Happy Friday. I would like to make 3 comments. One, I went to the movie. I won tickets from you to see Black or White, and it was excellent. Of course, the most recent time was when I went to see the Tuskegee
Well, we're on the
documentary.
Prisoners right now.
I understand. The other point, I don't know his name, the gentleman with you made a point about service and the reason that the banks, Brenda, you mentioned that businesses are interested in money.
Well, we're talking about the prisoners right now.
Oh, I got a comment on that as well.
Why don't you give us that comment? Because we have a lot of other topics to cover, and
okay.
my time is getting...
I got you.
Okay.
Well, if Charles Manson can woo a woman that wants to marry him, which was reported recently, and you know how many people that he killed and cut up, then it says to me that some folks have some very serious mental issues. But in this woman's case, if she didn't, perhaps she wanted the thrill of trying to commit a crime and get away with it, because her part in this is criminal. And there are people, they talk about, well, we need to have the death penalty and we need to have tougher sentences. But criminals don't go and commit crime or avoid committing crime because of the penalties. They commit crimes because they believe that they can get away with it.
Right. That's true. And then, thank you so much for that call. Thank you very much. Another thing is, I think someone brought it up, may have been Rose, about the bad boy, or, it's dangerous, it's that adventure, I got away with it, and it becomes intoxicating, don't you think, Rose?
Yeah, intoxicating, arousing, all of those things. And it is an element of human nature. I know we want to consider ourselves more evolved than that, but when it all boils down, we're animals as well. And that arousing, that intoxication, as Brenda mentioned, becomes very stimulating, and it can be like a drug for some people. I've had people explain these very unorthodox situations, even dangerous situations they found themselves into in the name of love or in the name of lust, as describing it as a drug. It's like they become to the rush and the high that they get from that.
Well, I think that particular prison with the reward wing or whatever
Yeah,
they
that
called
was
it.
ridiculous.
That was literally ridiculous. The guys didn't have to wear uniforms; they could wear work clothes. I'm glad I was.
That was set up for. I mean, you had there were two prisoners. Those two they escaped. One dismembered his supervisor,
Right,
and
right.
was able to get into a reward. How do you get a reward for that?
Right. Well, here's my other thing. Not only prisoners, let's look at the teacher who was sentenced yesterday. The parochial school teacher who had sex with the teenagers, and that we hear about
female
that a
or
lot.
male?
We hear about teachers and students a lot.
Female.
I think we heard about that when we were in school too, right?
Right.
Because I remember all the stirrings of rumors of students with teachers.
And do you think it's the power, or do you think, well, it could be a number of things, because you just have to watch having taught high school, you just have to watch your conversations. And no, I'm serious. And
What's
then-
that smirk on your face, dear?
What? I'm sitting here listening because
You gotta
because I'm thinking,
You going back?
I'm going. I'm going. Well, it's a power thing. I have, because I have family watching. It's a power thing. So we're gonna talk about this serious prisoner thing.
Okay, well, let me just say something, because I equate this to that, because it could be power, it could be, that sense of adventure with that child, the child looking at it. Oh, Miss Smith is fine. I
Mrs.
remember
Robinson.
when I first started teaching. I wasn't that much older than the guys.
Whoa,
and the
here we
guys,
go. Here we go. Now we got a show. Now we got a show.
Ladies and gentlemen, no. I mean, but the
Talk
guys,
about acting.
guys had young boys had crushes on me, and you just ignore that. Oh, come on.
And I've seen those pictures. I've seen a couple TBTs.
Uh-huh.
You lucky I wasn't at
But
Southfield.
think about the elements you have there, Brenda. You have these
I'd be your best acting student.
hormonal kids.
To be or not
Wait
to
a minute,
be.
Rose is
Young
talking.
adults.
What are you saying, Rose? Because
I mean, you have these very. I have sons who are 22 and 18, and if I hear one more conversation about them trying to find a cougar,
Hello?
I'm gonna hurt both of them.
DJ, are you
Because
watching?
you
No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
And I take it back down to the simplest form. You got
That's
a
the
female
human nature.
prison guard, a male prisoner. She may or may not have power over him, but at the end of the day, it's him manipulating her.
That's exactly what it is.
In
Because
a
she
school
was
setting, it
nothing
could be
to
right, but in a school setting, it could be both ways. I've seen it where the student was
you probably
the.
had crushes on teachers. Both of you did.
Oh yeah, of course.
time in your
I
life?
can't really think of her name
Hi,
right
Miss
now, but yeah, I
Thompson.
did. But so you take it back down to the simplest form. Sure, some of it is. Some people are crazy. The people who don't even know prisoners and be sending them letters. I'm gonna be a pen pal. I got too much stuff. I ain't got time to be writing letters. Right, I ain't got
I
time
sent
to
you
be
an
typing
email,
no letters to
maybe.
somebody I don't know.
Come
Right?
on.
Who does that? But
And you free.
right.
Come
But
on,
the people
Fred,
who are
seriously.
put in the situation, put in the
Go to
same
Bella.
room, and they take advantage of it. It happens.
Yeah, and obviously, I mean, and because there was a woman yesterday I heard on the news who was caught having sex with another prisoner in a different part of the country. I can't remember exactly where because I was listening to it in the car.
All these dudes out here,
come on.
and you mess with a
Seriously?
dude that you can only see, at
You
work.
and you got public servants here. You got and
Right.
you messing with a dude who's behind like, but
Right, you can't even see him.
he ain't doing nothing but time.
What do you say, Dr. Rose?
They have when these women find a man in prison, they got a captured audience. He can't run.
He can't go nowhere. Oh, you gonna listen to me? You gonna listen to me?
He's gonna give them all the sweet nothings and that when they talk.
Right.
Lord.
And she at home telling all her girlfriends, he pay attention to me.
Girl, he's so.
At
He
least
always be
at
paying
least from 8
attention
to
to
4.
everything.
At least from 8 to 4,
Oh my
he do.
goodness.
Girl, he shaved today. He
Girl,
shaved.
he got a chance to take a shower and everything, girl.
Right. He gave me his cornbread.
You eat that? He said, "You gonna eat that cornbread, girl?" I gave my cornbread.
Oh, Lord. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm like the Republicans. I don't know these people. I don't know the Trumps over here. Let's quickly talk about that Confederate flag debate. Now, tell me honestly, what do you all think about this?
The Confederate flag is a symbol of hate.
Okay.
That's exactly it was born out of hate. It was nothing about heritage. It was about, the Confederacy itself was illegal.
Because they came around about the same time your agency came around. 50 years ago.
No,
No, what
that
I'm
was
saying, they
eight.
started showing
Oh, they
it
started
in
show.
the-
Yeah, they
in
started
the
bringing it back
60s.
again because of the same
Civil
hate.
rights.
Because of that same hate. So they had to bring a symbol. Now, I mean, we're the only. And I heard this said, and I was in a conversation about this in Virginia. We are the only civilized nation that will allow the flying of flags of the entities that try to overthrow its own government. Imagine Germany allowing some state inside Germany or some city or some inside Germany to fly the swastika flag. Come on, it just don't make sense. And so this is their rallying cry. This is where they want to rally around and say, we hate African Americans, we hate anybody who's minority, and this is the flag that we're going to use it. And it's about a symbol of heritage. No, it's not about a symbol of heritage. It's about a symbol of hate. It's about state. They say it's about states' rights. It's not about state. The states were fighting to keep slavery. They're fighting for the right to keep
It was
slavery.
all over slavery.
For me, the flag, of course, as Darren said, it symbolizes all these evil, terrible things from ago. But the things that the flag symbolize is still prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm
So
saying.
if you remove the flag, the same people that wanted the flag there still exist. The same ideology exists. The same treatment of anybody other than what they consider to be their kind, their race, be it economically, financial, or racial culture, is still there. So even if you remove the flag, you get up tomorrow morning and you still deal with the same things that the flag represents.
And you make such a great point that if you remove first of all, that's this whole controversy has exposed a cancer. It's exposed those who are running out there saying, no, you can't take the symbol of my heritage. Now I know you.
But we already knew who they were.
So
they just
conform. It's our responsibility.
They just conform. What happened? I can tell you in the same work field today, 20 years ago, when the guys that you work with had a dog with the N-word, and every time a black person came around, they say, here N-word, here N-word. Well, I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to the dog. Right? Well, I'm just saying those same guys still exist, but now they conform. So now they just say, hey, good morning, how you doing? But when he go home, his dog is probably the N-word. Well, I'm saying,
let Rose chime in on this. Rose,
you're right.
Rose.
Well, this goes back to what we discussed last week, because I think, or the last time I was on the show, we had the heated conversation. I agree exactly with what you said. You will never see a nation where the defeated party is allowed to fly their flag at a state capitol at that. Mm-hmm. Like, it's so it is so insulting to just anyone who just believes in equal rights for everyone to have this Confederate flag flying, and people think it's part of heritage. It has nothing to do with heritage. And I'm really proud of let me just say I'm partially proud of all the different agencies that have pulled the Confederate flag, because I had no idea Target,
how many were flying,
Walmart,
exactly,
or
Amazon,
still Amazon, selling
Florida, Georgia,
right to Georgia. I had no idea all these other states were flying it as well. But they stood up, and South Carolina is holding out because they want to hold on to this ideal of heritage. But one of the things I was discussing with my husband, all of this stuff that's happening is necessary, because we're entering into a new phase where all this has to be brought to light.
Right.
I know even with Obama coming into office, it really, who was that just said that these people were able to do it covertly for so long, but now all this ugliness is just brewing up to the surface, and it's necessary because it's time to really bring it to light so we can get rid of it as much as possible. We will never completely eradicate racism.
Right. It has reared its ugly head and is more overt, it seems now. And time is up, unfortunately. We didn't get a chance to get to anything. But I would like to say when Obama started singing Amazing Grace last week, I just went nuts. I did. So, ladies and gentlemen, and Rose, we'll see you next week.
Bye, Dr. Rose.
Absolutely. Bye. You guys have a good holiday.
You too.
I have
Thank you.
sangria here.
Take care,
What'd
Rose.
you say,
Dr.
Rose? You're cooking?
I said I have sangria here. No, I'm not cooking.
On my way.
I got lots of sangria. No.
We come and get
We,
sangria.
will be there soon.
See ya. See you next week.
See you next week.
Thank you, gentlemen.
You're welcome.